Hi guys, welcome back to Always Games TV. I'm Roger Knowles.
And I'm Tom Simpson.
And we're going to be taking a look at Zombi on the PC, which has also has been released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now, Tom, you like your zombie games?
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I think we've both had a fair share of zombie games, such as DayZ, Left 4 Dead,
Dead Rising,
Resident Evil. But this was originally released on the Wii U and actually was called Zombie U. And it was kind of released in 2013, trying to show off a little bit of the strange controller with the Wii U. You know, like the tablet-esque controller screen thingamabob. Well, it tried to implement that as much as it could, and it did okay. It didn't sell amazingly well, if I remember correctly. Well, anyway, Ubisoft have released it on the next-gen consoles and PC, and they've sort of tweaked some of the mechanics to make it much more easier accessible, obviously without the controller of the Wii U. And obviously they've dropped the U in the title, so it's now called Zombi.
Yes. Missing an E.
Zombi. So yeah, so we're going to take you through. We've put in about 3 hours now of gameplay. So we've got through the initial stages of the game and started getting to the meat and grittiness of it and getting our teeth into it. So let's just jump straight into the actual game. So if you click on the campaign, and if you see here, it actually says an hour and 54 minutes, but I'm sure we put in a little bit more time into it than that. It's not the most prettiest of games. It relies very heavily on shadow and a lot of atmospheric sort of sound, and it does work.
The ambience is
yes,
amazing.
It does. It just sort of give you that element of fear that you're in a zombie apocalypse element, and that's what the game basically is. It's a zombie survival, first-person elements of action, really, and a zombie horror, really, when it comes down to it. So you initially start off and you play as a sort of randomly generated, but not really randomly generated, because I've actually played as this character twice now, because I started it before Tom came around, and you actually play as Henry Wilkinson then. But what happens is you actually get picked up by another person who has built a base up, and he watches you through security cameras, and he'll send you off on doing different missions, whether or not it's to find out this, and it'll take you through a very sort of linear narrative story, where you've got to sort of occasionally come back and protect the base that you're in, and collect certain items. However, there is actually a mechanic to the game where if your character dies, it'll generate a new character, which will then, to gain all your items back which were on the previous character, you'll have to go back to where your previous character died to collect those items, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the story continues, but the characters are replaceable.
Yes, so your character does change. As you can see, you actually in the container box, which is very similar to the, so I would class it as the box in Resident Evil. If you know from the early Resident Evil games, 1, 2, and 3, where if you put everything in the box, it would be saved there and you could collect it at any time. Which is a good idea to do in this, because if you, like I say, if you do die and you start a new character, you will start here, and if you haven't put any weapons in the box, you're going to struggle to get back to your previous character.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, actually, we can't really show you that mechanic because we haven't died yet in the whole game.
No. At the beginning of the video, it'll actually say one survivor played.
Yeah, but we haven't actually seen it happen as of yet. But like I said, we've got quite a way into the story. The story narrative is interesting. It's unusual in some of the mechanics that is, for example, there is pistols in this game, which is set in UK London. Now, in the UK, pistols are actually banned. You can't get hold of pistols, or at least, as far as I know, not very easily.
Yeah.
So,
and also, like, we keep finding landmines on random people in supermarkets, and grenades and stuff.
I don't know what the problem is. I think don't everybody have them.
Only the OAPs.
And also, a lot of people seem to carry handgun ammo as well, which is a bit random. Like I said, but obviously in the UK, we don't actually have handguns, so that is a little bit unusual. Weapons do seem quite... Well, there seems to be a lot of ammo around, which I guess in a situation like this, when there's been a zombie outbreak, I guess there probably would be more ammunition and weapons available, because there's been a lot of police probably armed. But it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like there's a bit too much ammo.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting distracted by rats.
No, you keep. At the present moment, Tom's playing away merrily.
Very like aliens with the motion sensor. It just picks up rats and everything.
Oh, you better talk about this actually. With the bottom right hand side, you actually got, as you can see, like a sonar map system. We've actually got this upgraded slightly now, so it will constantly give out a pulse. And if there's any sort of moving elements, such as rats, zombies, and crows, set it up as well, there'll actually be a little red blip that'll pop up to give you a bit of a warning that you're coming up to something that moves. But quite often they've actually used certain game mechanics, such as like crows and rats and stuff, to try and put you off to make you think there's actually enemies coming up when there actually isn't. Now, if they're not moving, I've noticed they don't pop up on screen either.
It's very dark in here.
You said that earlier about the atmosphere to the game.
I mean, if I just turn my light off.
This is a dark game. Yeah. And the sound, I got to admit, the sound is very, very good in this game. The music, as much as I really like the music where it kicks in and like it gives that element of horror and atmosphere. But the one thing that I don't like is as soon as the action is over, the actual music cuts instantly.
The loading screens are pretty cool.
Yes, again, it shows off very much the elements of the metro system in London. It would be good during the loading sequences that it would actually show where you are in London. That would be quite nice. Like you've got different, like the map here and everything like that. It would be cool if it actually showed you a little dot of where you would be going, to give you that element of sort of area of London. That would be quite cool. So what's our objective at the present moment? Reach the supermarket, access to Brick Lane Flats. Now this is it. We're actually backtracking on a previous area that we came in earlier on in the game. Now, is he a... See, he's not showing up on the map. And there we go, yeah, because he wasn't moving. He wasn't going to show up. So there is quite often sometimes those shock elements to the game where you think someone isn't going to move because you've already previously been here, and then he eventually will move. What do you think to the combat, Tom?
Yeah, it's sort of different. It's not like instant like whack, because the right trigger, you just use it to push away. If you want to hit someone, you have to hold down the left trigger and then go for it.
So obviously you've got a spade here for the melee weapons, but what are you thinking? How do you feel with the pistols, the rifle that we picked up, and like the crossbow and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no iron sights. Apparently you can use the scope, but I haven't had a chance to test that yet. Because
we did pick up a crossbow which had a scope on it, but we couldn't actually get it to sort of look down the scope, could we?
No.
As much as we were pressing the right buttons, it didn't seem to actually sort of recognise that weapon had a scope.
I say firearms and rifles, they don't seem to be too powerful. Like, the melee weapons are quite good. I mean, if you get a lucky hit and you can take someone's head off in one hit with a pistol, I found it's one or two more.
It also seem to with the melee weapons, it seems a bit random with how much damage you give. Like sometimes you've actually done a one-hit kill and taken a zombie's head off instantly, and then other times you've done a hit and it's taken like 7-8 times to take down an enemy.
Yeah, and he starts making funny noises.
Mm-hmm. There we go. We've got a zombie here. One hit. Oh, one hit. You see, click straight down. Now there is other zombies around which have armor on them, and like SWAT teams and stuff like that. Now they take a few more hits to take down because you have to remove the helmet. As you can see here, we've got third hit, fourth hit, fifth hit, sixth, seventh hit. Oh, here we go. So this was what I was on about with the SWAT team. Now, these ones have got a little bit harder to take down. Tom's character really getting into it. Like I said with that, it just seems a little bit... it's hard to work out exactly how many hits you can give, and it doesn't seem overly accurate. You just kind of generally point at them and swing, and hopefully you'll get this random one-hit kill. Let's see how many it takes to take this one down. I'm going in stealth style. Oh, back of the head. There we go. So that was like 2 or 3 hits there. And it lands in a very awkward position. So it's a little bit clunky with the combat. It could be a little bit better. It would be nice for him to implement other styles of swings, such as maybe scoop the legs and stuff like that, to be able to sort of be a bit more tactical with the combat.
Now, you can use the scanner.
Now, as you can see here, Tom's marking points of interest, you could say, that the game helps you to sort of basically direct you to possible loot and loot boxes and stuff like that. How do you find it?
It's quite useful. It's a little bit odd, but yeah.
It's not a technology that you would sort of exists, really. It's not like, oh, here, this is what we've come across.
No, it's sort of like a bit of sci-fi, really.
Yeah, it's sort of somehow the scope knows exactly where loot is being hidden.
Well, I will say it's very helpful.
It is helpful. If you had the option to remove it from the game, would you have it removed or would you keep it?
I don't know. Maybe there should be like a sort of like a focus kind of mode where you can sort of focus on certain objects and concentrate a bit more rather than using a.
Because you can't move, can you, when you actually got the scope up? So it literally just stops you dead. So, like, for example, Tom's like here looking for loot and checking backpacks, but the actual scope is what's going to tell you where loot actually is. So, I think what I like was more with Dead Island sort of way of doing it. That you would actually go to obvious places, and the game would eventually sort of show you where loot was. It would be like such as bags, boxes, bins, and things like that.
Dead Island was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool, but it seemed like obviously the developer of this game wants you to sort of keep you moving and doesn't want you to be wasting time.
Because you brought that up, it does have a sort of similar feel to it, like the way you sort of have to crack the skull.
You can crack the skull of zombies.
It feels slightly sluggish, not overly much, but it has a like Dead Island.
Does it? Yeah, it does have a very similar feel to it than Dead Island. But like I said, with it's just the loot system just seems a little bit peculiar in this one to find it at least. I think it would be nice if the devs sort of left you to your own devices and would trust you to find the loot on your own rather than sort of leaving these breadcrumbs for you so much.
Yeah.
Actually, just there as you stop, the manhole, that's their quick travel points that you can get around. As you can see, we've unlocked 3 or 4 of them. So if you need to get back to your safe zone, you can actually get back to it and return to certain locations quite quickly. We're nearly at this supermarket, if I do believe. So what we've done, we've actually, like I say, started in 2 or 3 hours into the game, so we don't really want to spoil too much of the story for you, because the story is quite interesting. I won't tell you where we've been, but we've come across scientists, haven't we? Who've obviously been doing some research on trying to find a cure.
Reminds me of 28 days later, or 28 weeks later. In certain, I suppose, is that a pigeon or raven?
That was a crow.
Crow.
We've got another zombie. So we were here before and we cleared it out, but obviously zombies do return back. But yeah, like I said, the narrative story is quite interesting. It's quite intriguing. It keeps pulling you in. Here's Tom using one of the mechanics here of the flare. And sets them on fire. And they're just... Oh, they're off. They're after you.
Wow,
Oh, they're actually coming... they're actually going to come and get you. Can they climb ladders? Or they're going to die before they probably get to you, actually.
I hope so. I might have been put out.
Oh, I think there's one still alive. He's not actually showing up on the radar, which is a bit concerning. I think he's still down there. Here we go. This means this element of sort of like very deep shadows, and sort of. Oh no, they're all dead. They're all dead. We're good. So the narrative story is very interesting, very intriguing, very typical zombie apocalypse-esque. You find a scientist who's obviously trying to find a cure. You help him. He gives you quests to go from A to B, for him to trust you, for him to allow the progression of the story to continue, and all this sort of thing. So that's quite a traditional sort of zombie story, which is still good. I do enjoy it. How do I feel about this game? It's not bad. Okay, I'm not knocking this game to say that it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game at all. I feel like it could have been better.
Yeah, I think it's not something I'd pay top whack for, but I'd be happy to give it a go because it is something.
Presently it's $14.99 at full price on PlayStation,
and
I believe it's the same on Xbox One, and it's the same on Steam as well. So it's $14.99, which that is not a full AAA price game.
No.
So really, for the price, it's not bad at all. It's just that I feel like that they've missed a bit of a good opportunity here to really get hold of a really good zombie survival game, because the elements are there. They are there. It's just that it just needs almost a little bit of spit and polish just to get it sort of right. Like the scanning system, I don't think really works. The combat just needs a little bit more to it. Overall, the rest of it I think seems pretty good.
God, it's so dark in here.
What this game would actually really probably need would be a sequel. If it had a sequel, when they added all these extra elements that they've missed out on.
Zombie UU.
Zombie U2? No. Oh, U2 doing the soundtrack. I think it could do well from that, from a sequel. And adding all the elements that they've missed from this one.
There is a workbench that you can use to sort of add upgrades to your weapons, but I don't know, they could probably go into that a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Make like crafting upgrades for like health. Make your own Molotovs. That might be in here, but I'm not sure.
But overall, guys, it is a good game. I think it's one of the sort of games that'll happily tie you over if you're waiting for another game to come out. It's one that it's going to probably help it that it's not at full whack price at £30 or £35. I think £15 sort of price is a perfect price for this sort of game. It's overall not a bad looking game. Like I said, the shadows and the darkness and the element of it does hide some of the ugliness of the graphics, but I don't think it needs to be absolutely fantastic graphics. You know what I mean? Do I make any sense, or am I just waffling now?
Yes, no, you are making sense. To be honest, I think, the textures aren't brilliant, but it's sort of...
What the hell's going on up there? Having a nightclub party instead. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And hopefully you've enjoyed these first impressions. Like I said, this is our impressions on the first 2 to 3 hours of the game. We haven't completed the game, so we don't know how the story and how it would progress later on, further down the line. So all I can say is, if you want to understand more of the story, I said pick it up and see what you think to it yourselves. Thank you so much, Tom, for joining me.
No problem, yeah. Thank you.
And I think Tom's going to keep on going to try and kill the zombie scourge that has attacked London.
Yeah.
All honesty, how long do you think you would survive in a zombie apocalypse if it really happened?
About 35 seconds.
Wow. I think I'd survive a couple of days, but mainly because, like I said before, before we did the recording, I think what would be best, I'd probably hide really well, and then I think I'd be done then. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and check out our website, www.alwaysgamestv.com, and we will hopefully see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.